Hello fellow Megatenists and welcome to the Megaten Minute. Porting a game is great for the consumer and the developer. The developer can move a game onto a new platform and market, thus increasing brand awareness to new consumers and loyal fans alike, who can then rebuy the game or fully experience the game they couldn't play because it existed on a console they didn't own. But is it worth it to ask Atlus USA to port games? Let's talk about it. On social media, you're open to discuss whatever you want to a certain degree, whether it's hot takes about why SJR is not as good as Strange Journey, or even about why Tokyo Mirage Sessions is one of the best Megaten games out there. But a prevalent scenario for Atlus posts sees a phenomenon: port begging. Here we are privy to the desires of the fanbase, whether it's news about SMTV, a hope for a translation, or the inevitable request for a port of a game. This sort of thing creates three camps, I think. The first are people who will fervently defend their desire to express their desires to port the game. Second, the people who don't care. And third, the people who are annoyed by the first group. Essentially, this is chaos, neutral, and law respectively. So what's the problem? Well, as someone who's somewhat bothered by it, let me make a case for what I feel. If you're someone who likes to post your wishes and requests on official channels, then more power to you. But please consider my argument. So as I said, social media is a platform of ideas and a forum for you to share yours. But the official accounts of a game company are generally meant for one thing: promoting their work. As a consumer, when a company has a varied amount of products, new and old, you really want a way to convey your desire for more. Maybe I need to contextualize this more with a hard example. Let's take a recent tweet from Atlus USA promoting something regarding Persona 5R. Besides the general hype posting, we see some tweets asking for SMT5 news and quite a few asking for a port. The point of the post is to build hype for something related to Persona 5R's localization, some sort of announcement regarding that. Since it falls on the anniversary of PlayStation's release anniversary, my guess is that it's something related to that. I enjoy going onto the official channels, their Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, etc. And my thoughts when seeing these port requests or news requests is that there's a certain sense of entitlement. Admittedly, there's not a whole lot of avenues for the average fan to get their feelings across to Atlus besides the rare survey, since Atlus doesn't seem to be interested in creating an open dialogue. And so the question is, what could fix that? A bygone pastime of the previous era of Atlus's social media presence, seen former PRs such as John Harden, seen here, carefully typing out a reply using the Atlus Prime account on Reddit, I'm sure, actively engaging the fanbase. Don't get me wrong, Sarah, Mitch, Jacob, and John are all great people. I've met most of them in person and they're quite charming and do a great job. But going up to bat regularly on communities like our Megaten or on Twitter really sustained a feeling of being heard for fans. Currently, the PR experience on Reddit is mostly left to positive comments on cosplay and fan engagement of a more superficial level, which is a valid choice in and of itself, but it continues to leave Atlus feeling much more closed off and secretive than previously. Long ago, when John Harden would meme with the rest of us. Maybe if the company pursued the old level of intimacy, the act of emailing Atlus USA to confirm SMT5 is still in production wouldn't have made news in the West and in Japan. This all coming at a time where Atlus is getting more attention than ever, really, which is unfortunate because without that fan connectivity, the Atlus Confidant rank is still rather low. Level 1. I think that the lack of communication is so prevalent that it permits this sort of environment. There's also something to be said about the rumor mill that also exists in the fan base. We had prolific members of the community such as Mystic Distance put into the general atmosphere of the community that there's possibly going to be a Persona 5 Switch port at some point. This became so prevalent that it still persists to this day, thus resulting in a lot of the people's requests for a Switch port. And just to elaborate a little bit on what I mean by Atlus interacting with the fan base, I mean things like the Bufu Boys live streams, I mean the memes and general conversations that would be had between Atlus staff and Megaten community members, and I really do mean collaborative efforts between Atlus staff and Megaten content creators. These sort of things would really result in a better understanding of what's going on with Atlus. I know that Atlus USA is essentially a localization branch, and that's significantly a majority of what they do, but that being said, that's not a thing that's pretty common to this new fan base. Persona 5 really did boost the number of people who are aware of the brand significantly, and thus there's a lot of ignorance going around because, to be honest, you just don't know any better when you're new to a franchise. And the saddest thing really is that we already know there's no plans for the Switch or any other console for that matter currently. The way it's phrased leaves a little bit of ambiguity, but it's a pretty solid case to be made that we're not going to get a Persona Switch port anytime soon. So now that we understand kind of the context as to why this is so prevalent, I think that we have to consider what is the benefit of doing this port begging or news begging. Really, on one hand, if Atlus is paying attention, then they will see all the comments and respond to that. But since it's been quite some time since the time that John Harden left the company, I don't really see that being effective in terms of creating visibility for your opinion. What it really ends up doing is it just kind of has you screaming into the void, yelling for anyone to listen to what you feel. And yeah, you might get some people on your side, but Atlus will not see, or if they do see, they won't respond. And frankly, is it really worth it to go through all this effort of expressing your opinions if really it's not doing anything? It's only a detriment to people who care about the way the fan base looks, and in general, it's kind of just a wasted effort. Though one could argue that even talking about this and spreading my opinion is a wasted effort as well. So I guess the argument is pretty circular. And that's all I really have to say about that regarding the port begging and news begging situations. It'd be nice if fans felt like they were being heard. Maybe this mild nuisance wouldn't be so prevalent. Or maybe I should shut up because it's not that big of a deal. I really do feel though that if Atlus did create a more open dialogue with fans and interacted more with a lot of the fan concerns and sentiments, then maybe this wouldn't be so prevalent as well. Let me know what you think about that, and thanks for watching. Goodbye, fellow Megatenists.